Hello, good morning. This is Sophia, and I am recording for the Birthing Conscious Humans podcast. And this morning I'm going to be talking with Aldebaran Sandrini.
Hello.
Who is an Italian astrologer. Aldebaran is a rebirther, a theta healer, and leads circles for women in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Aldebaran, you've been an astrologer for 25 years,
Yeah.
which is a long time.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about your name. It's an unusual name. It's a beautiful name. But when I first heard it, I was like, wow, Aldebaran is something you chose as an astrological name, or is it a name that you were born with?
No, everybody think that it's my artistic name, connected to my career, but it's actually my real name because it's a name of a star. It's the main star of the Taurus constellation. And my parents loved astronomy, so looking at the sky, just seeing watching the constellations. And so since I was 5-6 years old, they just showed me where I was in the sky, connected to the Pleiades. And so, and there began my love for the night sky.
Yeah.
And when I was 18, I bought my first book of astrology, and I never stopped.
Wow. So it seems that it's sort of been your life path to become an astrologer.
Yeah.
But as a child, and this is, I guess, my point of view in this Birthing Conscious Humans series, is again and again looking at the material from a child's point of view. So my question would be, how long did it take you to actually be able to say your name, Aldebaran, and did you like it?
18 years. For the first 18 years of my life, I was quite upset with my father, who was the one really choosing it, because everybody was making jokes, it was not easy to pronounce, and so it was easy to bear. But when I discovered astrology, I understood that it was a very, very beautiful gift from my father, that I had a name that was connected to my mission, to my vocation. Yeah.
So now it's actually empowering you.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that now.
Wow,
really
beautiful. Nice. So it's the first time I get to speak to a real astrologer in person, and to have the privilege to be asking you some of the questions that I've had over the years for myself. I'm interested in astrology, but I would say social astrology rather than more in depth. A lot of people in my generation, for example, when I asked my mother what time was I born, she didn't know. And I think many people kind of know where they were born or what day, but what time is sort of missing. The previous generation didn't really look to keep this kind of birth information. And going back to my Greek grandmother, she didn't even know what day she was born, because many people were born at home, statistics weren't really recorded. So a lot of sort of the grandpas and grandmas of Greece know their name day, which is kind of a religious day rather than the day they were born. And here we are, more and more parents are remembering perhaps the details, or thinking to record more and more details about their child's birth. There are some people that are even choosing to give birth when they can within an astrological date. So I've heard of mum saying, I want my child to be born Cancer and not Leo, or the other way around. So when parents come to you, and as I understand it, they come for a baby birth chart. What are they looking for? What do parents? Why do they come for their baby's birth chart?
First, I answer to the first part of what you said, because we are more and more we are much more happier today about the fact that it's easier to just take some correct data from our birth, because usually, it's not always like this, unfortunately, but most of the times today, it's really registered with accuracy.
Yeah.
So, okay. Unless, okay, sometimes people come to me and maybe they were adopted. So in that case, also could be that I don't have the exact day, the exact time for sure not, and sometimes also not the exact day, you know.
Yeah.
So in that case, you know, if I don't have the birth, I can anyway do a reading, but something is missing, of course.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the houses, we don't have the ascendant, the rising sign, you know.
Yeah.
So we need the exact time of birth. But I can, take out maybe 65% of the information.
Okay.
But today we don't have this problem, you know.
Yeah.
So everybody knows the exact time of
Everything
birth. So
Yeah.
and it could also be that they think about one time of birth. And it's not really correct, and I can see through the reading, while I read the chart, that maybe I have to do some corrections about the birth time. So sometimes it happens also.
Yeah.
And what would parents look for when they come to me? I work a lot with parents that have babies that were just born 1 week ago, or maybe they are 3 years old, so different variety of babies. And they are looking for help, for support in their education, you know.
Yeah.
Because the interesting thing in a birth chart is that you can see the perception of the baby of his or her parents.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is not always that they are like this, but what we're interested in is the perception of the baby, of course.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Because it can make a lot of difference. So it's delicate for me to work with parents, because sometimes I have to tell them things they don't like, maybe in their behavior. Sometimes I see that maybe there is a castrating mother, you know, or maybe an aggressive father, or maybe an absent father, or maybe that the child itself can really perceive very strongly, on a subtle way, what their parents are going through internally, inside, you know, because they are like sponges. So they absorb everything, you know.
Absolutely.
Especially if they are much watery, so especially if there is much emphasis on water signs in their birth chart. So they are looking for help. And also, there is another interesting thing, that they try to understand what are the talents of their baby. This more when maybe they are a bit older, okay? So when they have to choose a school, for example, it's not more babies, it's more children that or teenagers that have to look for a path that is aligned with themselves. So I also help in choosing the school.
Interesting. So in a way, what you're saying is that the parents that are coming already have, let's say, a curiosity or a sensitivity in understanding their child better, depending on how much work they're doing with themselves, kind of influences how much you can go into perhaps the more challenging part of their chart. And how it takes a certain courage to look at things that aren't easy, because, you know, looking at a birth chart, I suppose, or, you know, life itself is not always rosy. You know, we come to learn certain things, and looking at birth from a baby's perspective, I suppose we're looking at, okay, I've come into this life, what am I coming to evolve in myself? What can I be offering? What are my gifts? How can I express them? These are things that really interest me in kind of looking at how best to support babies and children in a way that they can become more of who they are rather than who we want them to be.
Okay, maybe it's useful to explain for people who don't know what really a birth chart can show us what it is, you know. So the birth chart is the project of the life. So it's just how the the sky situation was like in the exact moment and in the exact place where the baby was born. So what I cover usually, it's for at the beginning the childhood reading. That's very important because we have all the prenatal houses, so we can also see what happened during the pregnancy.
Wow, amazing. Yeah.
Really. So what the mother felt during these 9 months. We sometimes see there are planets that show maybe that there was an uncertainty also regarding to, okay, I'm pregnant. When they discovered the first 3 months, when they discovered they were pregnant.
Absolutely.
Oh, have I looked for that? Did it happen? Am I happy with this? Or maybe just for a moment I thought I could end it and terminate it because I'm not sure I want this thing, We see these things from birth chart. It's amazing. And I always, when I tell this to people I read, they can relate, and sometimes they have to check with their mother, And we see also the exact moment of birth. So if there were a moment of, if there were a trauma, okay, birth is a trauma anyway for everybody.
Absolutely.
But some are more traumatized. And, we can see that from the sign that is on our ascendant. So this tells us about how we perceive the outer world. So is the world out there a place that wants to welcome me, or is it a dangerous place I have to be very, very afraid of and watch it carefully, So this is very, very strong. We can have this. So I give also, because I am a rebirth, for me is very important, this part of the reading. And then there is all the perception of parents. So how do I relate with my mother? How do I relate to my father? How I see them as a couple. Okay. So it could be, and we see that, for example, from sun and moon, because sun in astrology is the father and the moon is the mother. So also the interactions between these two planets can tell us if the baby perceive their couple, their parents, as a good example of love, as a good example for his or her future relationships, So that's very important. Then also for who believes for who believe in past lives, I also include karmic aspects. So where they are caring from the past, where they are trying to fix in their. We can call it the journey of the soul. Yeah,
absolutely.
Unconscious patterns that can trigger at a very profound and unconscious level. So all the unconscious aspects they have to be aware of. So, for example, if I see, and this happens quite often, that a child has Mars, for example, that Mars has to do with our strength, with our vitality, the sexuality, and the anger. If it's in aspect with Saturn, for example, it can tell us that there is a repression of the anger, one of the things that he says, okay? So I can give practical suggestions to parents also that the baby has to get in touch with his Mars because it's somehow locked, inside. So they can, for example, use some red pencil and draw with red color or with punching the pillow, screaming out in a playful way, So I also support them, give suggestions with to get in touch with the planetary patterns that are not completely lived and experienced, because they have to own these functions.
Absolutely. I think it's wonderful what you're saying, and kind of fits in with kind of looking at birth from a baby's perspective, realizing how much material is already there before we are born. And that every incoming soul, every baby being born already has their own patterns, irrespective of what mommy's doing or what daddy's doing. We've got our own material to work on in this lifetime. And that really kind of brings me to the position of, in a conception, in a birth journey, we are 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how many babies are conceived. And we might not be physically developed, or our brain might not be fully developed, but on a soul level, on a spirit level, on an emotional and vibrational level, there's so much already going on. So yeah, a lot of useful information can be seen through the baby's birth chart.
Yeah. So yeah, it also can help parents to recognize that it's a soul that has its journey, and that it has to be understood deeply, to be supported
Independently.
Independently. Yeah, sometimes I see mostly with the mother, some symbiotic energies, or some. Yeah, sometimes I have to tell the mothers, and it's not so easy, not always so easy to say, that at some point they will have to let the child go.
Yeah.
Because I can see some. It could also be that there are some karmic connections between them.
Yeah.
And this I could see if I do a sort of a couple. It's called synastry, a couple reading between the mother and the child. For example, sometimes it happened to me that they asked me for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I do a couple reading without, of course, looking at the sexual interaction. So you can also do
So another sensitive
mother.
reading, I would assume.
Yeah.
A mother really being open to hearing and listening the full picture of the possible challenges, the letting go. I think this is a big question. This idea of the imaginary child, who I would like my child to be, or who I dream my child to be, and we do it really subconsciously during the birth journey. Let's call him John. John is going to have blue eyes. I hope he doesn't have his father's nose. Maybe he will have these characteristics, rather than kind of sitting right back and listening really deeply to, almost from a neutral page, and to kind of say, wow, hang on a minute, what is my child bringing through?
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, because sometimes what I find in some birth charts, especially when we find, for example, Uranus in the house of father or mother, it's that, this pressure that sometimes not so aware parents can put on their children, is that in the end, they live the unlived of their parents.
Yeah.
And we see this a lot with the Uranus aspects to sun and moon, or in the parents' house, So, it's something that I'm sure, it's happening much less than before, because I feel that people are more free today to express themselves, to stop a job, not to be stuck in the same job, or in a marriage, or in a family for 50 or for the whole life. They can choose something different. You have more freedom today. And I really recognize, because I really saw a rising trend of parents that come to me in the last years. It was not like this 20 years before.
At the beginning,
So they are coming more and more. So this is a very good sign for me that there are more and more parents that are doing inner work,
Absolutely.
and they are more aware and open to listen to also what they're doing wrong. And they're open to fix that. Taking responsibility.
And this is one of the conversations that we've been having. So, for example, I feel that in our generation we've done a lot of work to clear our family stories, our generational stories, and personally I'm wondering if and how the more we do our work to clear the field for new babies coming through, will they have less karmic work to deal with, so they can be more of who they are. So instead of a baby coming to deal with mom's projections or daddy's wishes, if that's sort of done, if mom and dad have sort of done their homework, let's say, then baby can be more of who they are. Baby can embody more of his or her gifts, which for me are needed in this time.
Yeah, it's really unspeakable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's happening because if I have to see, yeah, I can tell a great difference between our charts with
Yeah.
our families
Yeah.
and the charts I'm seeing today.
Yeah.
With
Wow.
the children of today. So I think, yeah, I can really recognize that there are more aware parents and they don't have such heavy burdens as we did.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see that in a chart, for example? What does it look like?
I see that because in the charts of our generation, we have very strong aspects and emphasis on really strict and heavy family patterns.
Yeah, right.
That's why also family constellation blossomed, you know.
Yeah,
A lot
to
of
deal,
people
to deal with
to deal with this all this stuff. But now when I do the baby's chart today, not all of them of course, but many of them, I could tell 70% don't have these heavy aspects. So it's like they also have talked about the rainbow children, you know.
Yeah.
So there is a new wisdom that they're carrying, I think.
And they're a lot clearer in what they want, in what they like. They don't fluffle around.
Yeah.
They're more to the point. And if they don't like something, they're very clear in how they show it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, parents are able to listen to that as a sign of clarity rather than a sign of kind of stubbornness or difficulty. And I think that's when the birth chart could be really useful to say, oh, actually, this is my child's wisdom. This is the time to really listen and to follow, and how can I support my child's wisdom, rather than to see it as, to label my child as being difficult because they don't follow what I want them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, one interesting is that many, in the last years, many parents, mostly mothers, because sometimes they don't come together. Sometimes it can happen that is the mother the one that does the inner work, and so she comes and I give her the reading, and maybe sometimes also the father listens to it, but not all fathers believe in this, you know. Anyway, the mother in the last years often tell me, you know, my child is really my teacher.
Yeah.
So they really recognize that there is even if they are so little, so young,
Beautiful.
a beautiful wisdom inside of them then is triggering something in them.
Absolutely.
But they are open to face it, you know.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But they see that they have another level of understanding.
Yeah,
They
and
perceive
awareness.
this.
Yeah, which has a different quality. I think one of the kind of dilemmas or fears, or, you know, I can understand a dad that says, oh, I don't believe in astrology, because there's this kind of fixed, finite, you know, who's going to tell me, or what planets are going to tell me that this is going to be my life. You know, do I have the ability to change my life, or am I destined to be like this? You know, there seems to be a fight between you're going to tell me what I'm going to do, or I'm free to create my own reality. And I definitely believe that we are the creators of our reality. But what I feel when you talk about a child's wisdom is something a lot more subtle than that. It's a different quality, an essence of who I am, with, of course, a coloring of kind of my life spectrum that I have to play and work with and evolve with, or evolve through, rather than somebody telling me what to do. So
this is interesting, because it's a question that always comes up.
Yeah.
So I'll bring here my personal point of view, which is not the truth, is my truth.
Yeah.
So the birth chart tells us a lot of things about also our life projects and what we will find, the challenges we will find on the path, and also the allies we have out there, both energetically in a subtle level, also in people that are helping us, and also the talents we can count on to go to proceed to our final destination, you know. I personally think that there are some things that are indicated on the birth chart that we have to pass through. It's like that it's experiences or people we can't escape totally.
Yeah.
We have to face them.
Yeah.
But for the rest, yeah, I believe there is free will, of course.
Yeah.
You know, in astrology, every planet, for example, every archetype can be lived at a different level of evolution. So, for example, Neptune. Let's take Neptune. If we leave Neptune in a very low level of wisdom, of evolution, we can really feel that we have to escape reality. We don't take responsibility. We really are very prone to projections, to illusions, to addictions, to create with our fantasy beautiful things also, but also monsters, you know.
Yeah.
But if we leave Neptune in a very evolutionary way, we can really become wonderful artists, musicians. We can really feel that we are one with the world. We are one thing. All is one.
Yeah.
We need to merge and to have a very subtle connection with other people, intimate connection.
Yeah.
We feel our heart opening up to everything with the compassion and also we feel compelled to serve also, you know.
Yeah, wow.
So we always can choose between two levels at every archetype in astrology.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, some things maybe are determined.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could choose totally to drop them.
Yeah.
But
how we choose to meet them or how we choose to rise through the archetype. I mean, hearing...
It's personal.
Yeah. And also maybe depending on, if people believe in lifetimes or even within the same lifetime. I'm working with Neptune. I start off as a young adult on one level with Neptune, but then I kind of, through the years meet and evolve that energy within me.
That's what usually happens.
Yeah. And I think something that you're touching on, but perhaps is not the right time to go into this time at least, is choosing to talk about Neptune and the age of Aquarius, that we're sort of transitioning into from a collective consciousness of the age of Pisces, into a collective consciousness in the age of Aquarius, and kind of looking at how babies and children coming through are more and more showing signs of belonging to the age of Aquarius rather than to belonging to the age of Pisces.
I can say a couple of things about that if you want. I mean, it's not so clear when the age of Aquarius will begin, because for some people it already began. For some other astrologers, it will begin in 2140 something, So we are not really into it yet. But we are in the transition, between the sign of Pisces to Aquarius. And, so it's also passing from from an energy of seeing things with a veil, so not so clear. From Pisces is Neptune, is illusion, is I look at that and I see what I would like it to be, but I don't really get in an objective touch with that thing or that person. And this is what we had with what happens with Aquarius, because Aquarius, it's the coldest of the three air signs, So it is a lot about detachment. So I think that we are also what is happening in this moment in the world, with the corona, is it true, is it not true, is it a conspiration, is it something real? there is a lot of movement, a lot of people that are waking up and seeing also all the lies that we have been told, you know. So it's it's coming from a more emotionally involved approach.
Yeah.
That can get easily overwhelmed from the outside to Aquarius is okay. I see this through also my mind, but not in a sense that I don't want to get in touch with emotions, but I mean I use in a positive way, in an evolved way, my capacity to really think with a higher mind.
With a higher mind.
Yeah.
And to discern. So
to discern.
The clarity, the wisdom, to see more clearly, to perhaps seeking a truth that is more objective, let's say. And this again is where for me a baby birth chart comes in, that it gives me tools to discern, to clarify, to have a better picture of who I am rather than who others want me to be, and to have the tools as a young thinking adult to say, hang on a minute, I was born then, this is my birth chart, this is a layer of my reality that says I am this, I'm not what my mother tells me, I'm not who my school tells me, I'm not who the system tells me, I am. So I think this is also a little bit of the, the theme of this podcast. How can parents have tools right from the beginning that support that I am consciousness? That hopefully we're all collectively...
it's a lot about freedom also, I would say, passing from Pisces to Aquarius.
A freedom to choose.
Freedom to choose, freedom to be, and also freedom to co-create with others, because Aquarius has much a community energy.
A unity.
So it's just, doing network. Just see who are our allies out there. Who are the people we feel aligned with. And who we can co-create something, new vision, new possibilities, big dreams. But not the dreams of Pisces that sometimes are very, very, that are difficult to bring into reality, to embody,
And a little bit sort of this podcast, Birthing Conscious Humans, is a little bit in this unified consciousness where we all hold keys, different parts of the puzzle that are now coming together, rather than a kind of dualistic perspective, which was breeding mine, yours, better, less, more competition. Now seeing that together we can have an even bigger picture, and how everything that we're specializing in adds more value to our collective awareness. And that's really, it's beautiful as well as powerful. It has a new power in it, where in a way they're equal parts in their value. So there's even been the idea expressed that the babies coming through in this time are choosing to come through together as a unified consciousness. So the babies coming through have an aware... Anyway, babies, on a cellular level at the very beginning, we feel one with everything. And as we embody our physical body, we feel more separate, and me and yours and so forth. But I'm wondering if these new babies coming through are more and more in touch with our togetherness, more and more able to bring through projects together rather than alone. So that's why there's less personal individual baggage, and these are my gifts, I'm clear of my individual unique essence that I can add to the mix.
It's really interesting also because talking about Aquarius, now we have a strong movement at the transits of this moment, that we had this massive stellium group of planets in Capricorn, which has a lot to do with changing the structures of family also.
Exactly.
But in December, Jupiter and Saturn will move into Aquarius, and Saturn will be there for 2.5 years. So the babies that will be born after December, in the next 2.5 years, we have a lot of this energy, you know, just that they can really find a way. And maybe it could also be that they carry a strength and a capacity to be able to get in touch with groups and not to think about themselves, as you say, but just very, very prone to, okay, I want to bring my contribution to the world.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the betterment of society.
Yeah. This is beautiful. Perhaps we need to have another interview once this transit takes place at the end of the year. I have one last question that I'm really curious about on a personal level. So I support, I guess, pregnancy and birth from preconception. So I'm sort of looking at supporting parents who are more and more conceiving consciously. They are choosing to prepare their bodies even 3 months before conceiving, let's say, the food that they're eating, they're choosing their lifestyles, and in partnership are saying, okay, we're choosing this day to make beautiful ceremony to conceive our child, because together we are saying yes. Now, for me, this is a sign of our evolving consciousness as human beings, as potential parents, rather than, oops, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because if we could have also the time of conception would be amazing, you know, because we could work with both of them.
Yeah.
Time of birth and time of conception. It's not so easy. It wasn't easy up to now, but as you say, there are more and more people that are choosing natural conception, sorry. And so they will be able to just see around the right time. But up to now it wasn't like this, you know, so it was not easy. Also because you could sometimes maybe know about the day, and if you that could be also enough, you know, information, even if you don't know the exact time of conception. Because only the moon is very fast, so it could be that it has moved from one sign to another, but we have 70% of the information.
We have a lot of information.
We have a lot. And there is the seed, you know, the seed of what then come up at the birth. Exactly. So we could work with both charts.
So you have a whole birth journey picture, because sort of where I'm looking at from at the time of conception, the soul in a way chooses to be born, and the soul, there's a third party. A soul is looking for available parents to come in. So at that point of conception, a soul is saying, yes, I'm in. Whereas the time of birth, there is a big sort of conversation to be had about, are babies born in their time? Or are babies being born at the hospital's time, at the doctor's time, at the system's time, at the mummy's time? Or are they born out of their time? And we're seeing premature babies, more and more and more cesareans and induced births. So would a conscious conception mean that we're really getting that essence, that seed energy, that clarity of purpose and of yes to life, that is reflecting, I don't know, more and more detail, I guess, you know. It's in the detail at the moment.
It talks more about the deepest part of the baby, not about the personality, you know? Because the personality, the outer personality, also the ego, you know, is influenced, and it also is affected by other people's decisions, as you said, regarding birth. So I think that it could be very useful, especially for children who are born with cesareans, or planned, programmed births, that if they can really go back and see the time
So
of
the
conceiving
beginning.
would be very, very good to just make some research
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
So, Aldebaran, if, for example, I have parents, I'm working with parents who are consciously conceiving, would like a baby birth chart, how can they get hold of you?
Yeah, I have a website. It's aldebaransandrini.com, and you can find all my contacts there. And you
Beautiful.
also work online, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Aldebaran. It's been a wonderful
Thank you.
conversation. Thank you. And if you are listening, you have any feedback, any of your own experiences, questions that come up that we could evolve further, please do be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.